Did you know that the continent of Asia actually has more dark-skinned people than the continent of Africa? The region that famously known for its rich melanin. Black skin simply means having dark skin tones, and it's a universal human trait found in all racial groups around the world. There's really no such thing as quote-unquote black people. That idea is a social construct and a colonial invention. For example, a Sri Lankan and a Nigerian might be given completely different racial labels, but they share a very similar shade of skin color. That's why in this video, I'll break down the myths, the shades, and explore the many people around the world from all racial groups who share this beautiful richly melanated trait. But first, let's look at where dark skin comes from and why humans are the only species whose skin can range from pearly white to deep black and every shade in between. It all goes back to the same reason why hairless animals like elephants or rhinos have dark skin. It's protection against strong ultraviolet radiation. This is also why settler colonial countries like Australia, New Zealand, and occupied Palestine have some of the highest rates of skin damage today, because their ancestors never evolved the much needed amount of natural sunscreen shield called melanin. And melanin is made up of tiny pigments found in the epidermis of our skin. In the epidermis, there are two main types of cells, keranocytes and melanocytes. Keranocytes are the ones exposed to the environment, and the dead ones are the ones you can see with your naked eye. At the base of the epidermis are the melanocytes, the cells that produce the pigment called melanin. Inside each melanocyte are small spheres called melanosomes, and inside these melanosomes is where melanin is stored. Depending on genetics, melanosomes can contain different types of melanin, some reddish or yellowish, others brown or black. The number of melanosomes and the amount of melanin they contain also vary from person to person, which is what determines our skin color. These melanosomes are transported to the keranocytes through the long projections of the melanocytes. Inside each keranocyte, the melanosomes form a protective cap around the cell's nucleus. The melanin inside them absorbs the ultraviolet energy from the sun, reducing the amount of UV that reaches the nucleus, especially the DNA inside it. This helps prevent DNA mutation that could lead to skin cancer. And when UV exposure increases, melanin production also increases. This is why people living in the equatorial zone who faced intense sunlight every day develop melanin as a form of biological sunscreen. However, not all dark-skinned people are the same. Some lived in open, sun-exposed areas and developed the darkest tones, while others live in dense, shaded jungles and evolved lighter brown tones. Because of these environmental differences, we get a beautiful spectrum of dark skin shades. Now, let's begin with the darkest tones of dark skin and move gradually to the lightest. Let's start with bluish black, the darkest tone known to humankind. People often call it jet black, but under sunlight, it has a faint bluish undertone, almost like polished obsidian. It's what many call true black, though scientifically it's a reflection of extremely dense melanin, especially eumelanin. This tone is rich, deep, and protective, the ultimate adaptation against burning sunlight. But even this tone has its limits. It still needs hydration and can be sensitive to cold. This color was shaped by thousands of years under brutal tropical sun. It's the rarest skin color not because it's African, but because only a few places on Earth have UV radiation that strong. This skin tone is found mostly among the ethnic Nilotes of East Africa, such as the Dinka, Nuer, and Shilluk. Among Bantu people, It appeared among the now extinct Dama mountain people of the Namibian highlands. In Asia, it is found among the southern Andaman Islands in groups such as the Jawara, Onge, and Sentinelese, and in Oceania, it appears among some Bougainville Melanesians. This skin is a masterpiece of evolution, so dense it can tint the lips and even slightly shadow the whites of the eyes. A shade lighter than bluish black is dark chocolate skin, a tone found widely across the tropics. It has warmth with a slight brown-red glow under the sun. It's equally rich in melanin, but the density is just slightly lower, allowing more light to reflect and giving that cocoa-like sheen. This tone balances strength and softness. It's protective yet luminous. It burns less easily, ages gracefully, and remains smooth even in harsh climates. Many of the world's most famous dark populations fall into this range. In Africa, this is the most dominant skin tone among the Sudanese peoples such as the Wolof, Jola, and Tiefo. It is also common among Nilotic groups from South Sudan and further south in peoples like the Luo, and among Nilo-Hamitic peoples such as the Nandi and Turkana. Among the Bantu, it appears in central Bantu groups from Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Mozambique. It's also seen among the Hadza and some Cushitic populations, but in low numbers. Outside Africa, this skin color is common among the Great Andamanese people of Asia, as well as Northern Australian Aborigines, the extinct Tasmanian Aborigines, and the people of the Bougainville and the Western Solomon Islands in Oceania. This is the skin tone most people in the diaspora associate it with the term dark skin or black skin. It's not rare as the previous one but darker than the next one, which is reddish brown. This tone is our species representation of what people might call red skin. Under daylight, it reflects a warm copper tone, the result of melanin mixing with keratin and underlying blood pigments. It looks fiery in sunlight, like polished mahogany. This skin tells a story of balance between tropical and subtropical living, strong enough to handle UV yet light enough for cooler seasons. This skin color is dominant among Cushitic pastoral people such as the Somalis, Tutsis, extending north to the Beja. It's also common among African pygmy groups like the Baka, Boti, and Kango, as well as among the Nilo-Hamitic peoples like Samburu and Maasai. In Asia, it's common among modern South Arabian tribes living in the tropical regions of the southern Arabian Peninsula, groups like the Mehri, Shehri, and Sokotri. In Oceania, this color is found among southern Aboriginal Australians. But a skin tone similar to this shade but without the reddish tint is mahogany brown. Mahogany brown is smooth, warm, and often glows with a copper gold base. It's melanin rich but slightly lighter than the darker tones, born from ancestors who lived in shaded tropical jungles, coasts, and savannas far from the equator. This tone still offers UV protection, yet allows more vitamin D to pass through the skin in climates farther from the tropics. This skin color is the most dominant shade in the global south by population numbers. It's commonly known as quote-unquote brown skin among the African diaspora and is the truest representation of brown skin color among human beings. This color is common among all Bantu and West African peoples, from the Zulus to the Igbos to the Bobo Finks, and among Sandawe and Omotic peoples. Outside Africa, it is the most common tone among South Asia's Vedic and Dravidian groups, as well as among Indo-Aryans from around the northeast and West Bengal regions of India. It is also found among the Negritos of Southeast Asia and in Oceania among Papuans and other Melanesian groups. This tone is the truest representation of dark brown skin, but there is a tone slightly lighter than this and the previous reddish brown, golden bronze. Golden bronze is the lightest shade of dark skin. This skin tone shimmers between gold and brown, a shade darker than the medium brown and a shade lighter than reddish or mahogany brown. It's the product of rich melanin, though not as dense as the previous ones, and carries warm reddish golden undertones. This tone can turn into reddish brown, glows beautifully under the sun, and heals quickly from sunburns. In Africa, this skin color is common among highland Kushites and some Ethio-Semitic groups like the Oromo, Borana, and Harare. Among Bantu, it appears in East African coastal tribes like the Swahili and Taita. It's also found among mixed Bantu and Khoisan groups like the Kosas, Koranas, and Damaras. Up north in the Sahara, it's seen among the Tubu and Dawada of Libya. It's also common among mixed-race North Africans like the Sudanese Arabs, Fezanesi, and the Iravelan Tuaregs. In West Africa, it appears among the Fulani, Shua Arabs, and Hausa. In South Asia, this skin tone is also dominant among the Dravidian and Vedic peoples. In Oceania, it's found among Central Papuan Highlanders, Eastern Coastal Papuans, and Melanesians from Solomon Islands, as well as mixed Melanesian-Polynesian groups like the Fijians. And in Australia, it's common among Central Outback Aboriginal peoples. In modern times, this skin color is the most dominant among the African diaspora worldwide, from African Americans to Afro-Brazilians to the Siddis and Afro-Arabs. It can also appear among previous mahogany and reddish brown populations, though in smaller percentages. So guys, there you have it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this exploration, feel free to check out my previous video where I talked about all shades of skin colors. And as always, stay curious, stay smart, and thank you very much for watching.